Glory be to God, Mighty God Ministries, episode 15. This one we're going to call Fun in the Country. I actually just got off though. I was checking out because I think I've said this in the past where I really like to read Revelations, and there's like so much good stuff in there, but you really have to read it because there's all these different points in there, and it's like any Bible scripture you read. The first time you read it, you're like, "Whoa, what is this?" Like you're just like, "This is some crazy stuff," and then like you read it again, you start to understand it more. And each time I read it or I listen to it, because I did tell you I like to listen to audio, you find something else out, and then sometimes you'll go look up that like scripture or something that stuck out to you. Maybe it was the Holy Spirit that like prompted you for that, or maybe just you were just curious about that. And I looked up this one point, and then I watched this guy. I should have wrote down the name, but he was a pastor, and he was going over some of the things in Revelations. And it is crazy how I started listening to that. And I've listened to this a bunch of times. I mean, quite a few times. But then you realize like how much you don't know, because I listened to this sermon, and it was probably like 30 minutes or something like that. And he was bringing out some points comparing like things that they say in Revelations that ties to early periods in the Bible and stuff. And it was really good. I'll have to get the name of the guy, but it was really good. And I learned some things I actually didn't realize, or I didn't put two and two together. But the way he went over it, he obviously knows like his stuff. He studied a lot, but it was really good. So I do recommend too, like if you do, you're in a chapter of the Bible and you want to know more, go research that. Either talk to your pastor or go on YouTube and research that, because some of the people, the stuff they know, whether it's on certain chapters or stuff, they're at a whole different level. I mean, they're at a whole different level. And again, you don't need to know this, but I just find it interesting because throughout my life, I always liked learning about history, and I would watch documentaries about different things, and I always was interested in that. And I always loved nature, so I'd always watch nature movies. But that was really good to hear that. And there's a ton of good stuff in there. I actually want to do a video on that, but there's so much stuff that you have to break it down. But one of the things, again, just like I had another great day today. I went to the park. I mean, I just had so many blessings today. I went and saw a friend. I shared a coffee. Well, I didn't share a coffee with him, but he had a coffee. He had some kind of drink and had a coffee. And I got to talk to him and tell him things. And I haven't seen this person for a long time. So it was just a great day. I got to see some other people and help them out that I occasionally see. So that was phenomenal. It was just an all around, great day. I got to eat good. What did I eat? I had some really good food. I had a sweet dessert. So it was just, again, it's just every day you wake up is a blessing. And you have to realize that it literally is a blessing every single day you get up, because that is God who gives you life. I don't care. You could say whatever you want, but it is God who gives you life. And each day you wake up and you can get up, put your clothes on, go to the bathroom, eat, do the normal stuff you do, walk outside or whatever, whether you're working or not. I mean, it is truly a blessing, and we take it for granted. We take it for granted so much. And it's all you have to do is go visit someone who's sick, or go see someone who can't walk, or who struggles with things, or they're getting older and they can't do the thing. Like if that's all you have to do is look at them, and you realize it. Because again, we take it for granted. We take it for granted. We don't realize it. But then when you see someone else and they don't have that, it really puts things in perspective of all the blessings you have. It really does. And again, I'll say it, I've said it 1,000 times. It is the little things in life. It's the coffee, it's the going outside, it's grilling, it's, jumping on a trampoline. It's, it's just those like little fun things you did when you were a little kid. They made you happy. Flying a kite, a kite, what's a kite, like $7 or something? I don't know what maybe they're 20 now, but they used to be real cheap back in the day. Those little tiny things. Those are the blessings in life. But get back on track on the story though. That was just I just want to tell because I just had a great day. But we grew up in the country. I think I told everyone that we grew up in the city originally till we were like, I don't know if it was third or fourth grade or what, and then we moved out to the country in Canfield. but we were like borderline on Salem area too. So it was a good area. But you know, when we got this house that we were in, there was a barn with it, and you know, we had some property. And I will say this, like, it's interesting how, like, you know, living in the country is really cool because you could, you know, to a degree, you could do what you want. Not that people bother you, but it's just nice because you can do what you want. You can have bonfires. Obviously, I told the fireworks story, but you know, when you learn about that kind of stuff, you can have bonfires that are safe and all that, and you can just do all kinds of stuff, you know, and it's just less care, and it's just nice. But then also, like, you know, there's aspects about living in the city that are great too, or living in, you know, suburban, whatever you want to call it. But you know, another thing, like, God is so good. I cannot stress this enough how good God is. Like, He watches over us, He protects us, Jesus protects us. Like, again, I would not be in this chair if not. Like, we did, when I think about the stuff we did, if my kids did that, oh man, like, it scares me. And again, my parents, you know, they were great, but we'd be outside and we'd be playing, and we would just do like, you know, we just think we were playing a game, but like when you think back, you're like, wow, that wasn't probably the brightest thing to do, or that was not that smart, you know. But we used to have this barn. Okay, so you imagine we're young kids, and you know, and a lot of times we'd just go out there and just play basketball or something, or like, you know, because we had this barn. Unfortunately, like, we didn't get like horses or anything like that. Like, it was set up for all that stuff. And I remember our parents talking about that, but we never did it. And it, you know, it's a shame because it's just, you know, you think about those different things. But it was like set up for horses and the whole 9 yards. You know, it had like all this medical equipment from back in the day. And then it had this, we called it the cement pad. It had this huge pad, and it had troughs, all these troughs where like a horse could go up and eat food and stuff. And you know, I guess if you've been around this stuff all your life, that's normal to you. But to us, we didn't come from that. So we were like, you know, it was like a playground. It was like having like a massive play, but it'd be like having a playground. Yeah. And it was a huge building, you know. And like I said, in retrospect, it's like one of us didn't get killed because it could have easily happened. But we had this cement pad, and it was huge. It was probably like, you know, maybe the size of I wouldn't say like a basketball court, but it was pretty big. It might have been, I don't know. I have to ask my brothers too, because they would remember the sizes. But like, we had a hoop and we played basketball, and we do stuff like that, the normal stuff. But then also we just do like other stuff that, like, you just get in trouble because again, you have you know, you might be off, like, you know, maybe not so much when you're in school, but then summertime you have all this time, you know, and you're out there playing, and basically your parents are, you know, they're doing their stuff what they need to do. You know, like your dad might be working, or your mom, both might be working, but if not, like my mom, you know, she'd be cleaning, cooking, doing all that kind of stuff. So we'd go out in this barn, me and my brother, and like I said, I'll have to check with them and see if they're interested on you know, jumping online and giving their perspective, because I'm sure they remember stuff too. But like, we would do, you know, this barn had different levels to it too, and it was built like in the 1800s or something. Like, the house was built in the 1800s. And there was an addition on, or there was like a back section that was built onto it, but the original one was log frames. And like, I remember my dad was like, you know, it was a beat up house, so it was like fixing it up and all this stuff, and it took years. That, not just on the inside, they didn't cut the outside, but like inside, you know, the walls inside were so thick. They were built like the original sections of it. It was built with like massive timber logs. So like, it was like, you know, like literally, like, it was like this thick, and they were like this tall, and you couldn't even, like, you know, drill through it without like a huge saw. And then the barn had the old beams in it, you know, but there was a bottom level. There was a bottom level of it, and then there was a huge, like, a concrete cylinder. I don't know if that's where like they kept food or a well at one time. I don't even know what was down in there. We never went in there. And I don't know if you had to like pull the cement pad. I'm not sure what that was for, but that was there. And there was a bottom section that was a lower level, and then there was a section that went like this to the top level, to the first level of the barn. But it was up a hill, you'd go up to it, and then there was other outbuildings. There was all these other outbuildings, you know. So it's just, it was like a playground you're growing up in. But obviously, you know, there's not, because of all the stuff, there's not even, there's supervision, but it's not. So, you know, obviously we were all watching out for each other. So, you know, normally if someone would got hurt, you would have called. But, You know, I just sit back and I think about it. We would just do so many dumb things. We'd have wars in there, you know, play wars and different stuff like that. And we would just we'd throw stuff at each other, and just like, you know, you'd run, and just like there used to be like a hole. So the one section, like there was, you know, wooden, if you walk up to the we'll call it the first floor, but you know, it's above the basement, which is the lower level, so it's almost like the second floor. We'll call it the first floor. And that was all wooden, you know, wood beams going across, so you could walk across it, and you know, you're not gonna like have any issues in that section. But then there were sections off to the side that were a little bit different. So there was a section off to the right hand side, and that was like where you would keep hay, I believe, or they'd bring it into the top and like shoot it down. So there was like a massive like cutout, you know, and it was a big hole, you know, and we would jump down this hole, you know what I mean? Like in it, you know, it's just, when I think about some of the stuff, it's like, again, it is a miracle. It's God. It's gone. None of us got killed or got severely hurt, because it could have easily happened, like easily. But we would jump down this hole, and there wasn't really much hay there. And then like it was funny because like the bottom level, the basement level, my brothers, they'll probably crack up about this. I don't care because it's funny, but you know, you're kids, so you don't care. We used to, you know, pick up, you know, we would be out in the yard, and we'd pick up snakes and spiders and stuff. When you don't know, so you don't care. You just play around with stuff. And the whole bottom level was like, you know, petrified, you know, poop essentially, or whatever you want to call it, like horse poop or manure. They call it manure, right? And they would always use that like to use as fertilizer. So you'd always smell it too in the summertime. You smell that like manure smell. But what happened is, because they eventually, whoever had it before us had horses or whatever at one time, they had all this manure, but it had hardened, right? So there were sections of the lower level that had concrete, and it was like concrete floor, and there were sections where this stuff was like hardened. So it was like, you know, it was like real, it was like manure, but it was like hardened manure, and we would literally like break it off and wing it at each other, and have it just have like, you know, manure, just like stupid stuff. And we used to, you know, the stuff you do as a kid. I don't know if anyone else did this. I don't know if we were abnormal or what, but like we used to get we call them burrs. You know, there'd be those plants or weeds that would grow outside, and they'd have those burrs, almost like when you played Super Mario Brothers, and they were like the little cactus plants or whatever, like those. We would pull these burrs off, and then if you got them, they'd be stuck on you. These things would stick on you. They're like little balls, and you'd have to pull each and every little thing off them. I don't even know what the name are, but we would get those, and we would wing them at each other and hit each, and then you have to go pull them off your shirt, and just, we would do all kinds of stuff like that just to kill time and have fun. And we would also build like forts. A lot of it's funny, like you think about it, it comes back to you. We would build these massive forts. And I don't even know where we got like the hammer and the nails. I'm sure we got it from my dad or took them or something like that. But we'd build these big forts with like, you know, plywood. I don't know if it was in the barn or what. And then like we'd also, you know, again, it's amazing none of us died, because at the first level, then there was like another level, and that we would call that like the third level. But like I don't really know what, because like I said, I'm sure if like you were, you know, if you were a barn builder or the Amish, they would definitely know like what all it's used for. But like there would be these the big beams, and they would cross over, and then there would be like these rungs with the ladder, right? And there'd be so you could go up, and there'd be steps to go like from the bottom floor to like the next floor. And there was this floor that was like the third floor, and it was real high up. And you would have to go you'd have to like go through the one door to go into the one section. And then there was like a level that was like normal, where it was like a hard floor, and you walk on it, and it was secure. But then there was like this third level, and I don't know what it's used for in a real barn. I don't actually know what it's used for. But you would climb this ladder with this rungs, you know, to get up to this third level. And the third level, it doesn't have like a floor, okay? This third level has like, they're like long boards, but they're like strung out, and there's hay on all these boards. but the boards aren't, it's not a floor. So there's like section, there's just holes. And we would go up, oh man, we would go up there and we'd like crawl across this thing and we'd walk on it. I think about it now and I'm like, God was watching over us because we would have died. Because like I said, I don't know what you use that for. I don't know if it's just like storage, but it was like, planks. And it's on the third floor, so it's real high. So I'm telling you right now, if you fall through that thing, and I'm sure that's over like the years, I'm sure that's happened to somebody. But I'm like, you're getting seriously hurt or you're dying. But we used to do it all the time, and it's crazy. But like we again used to go up these rungs, and you'd go up there, and we'd hide stuff up there, and I'll never forget. But like and I'm trying to think. I think there was one time like your leg might have fell down, but your body caught yourself. But like it was dangerous. We should have never done that, but we did. And I don't know if I don't know if my sister did it. I'm trying to think because I had two brothers and sister growing up. So I know one of my brothers definitely did. I don't know if all of us did, but we used to play in there and stuff. And it was like I said, it was just like a big playground. And there used to be all kinds of stuff in there, just different things. And then the other things we used to do, like I said, when I think back, it's just crazy. Like we had like these shovels, and I don't know if we thought we were playing army or something like that because there's also a cornfield in the back. So there'd be these cornfields. So we'd go run and you'd play hide and go seek in cornfields and just stuff like that. And like you talk about like, just like I said, if you've ever lived in the country, it's sort of a different world. It can be fun, but it also can be, and then like you have to worry about like, it's funny too. The only thing you have to worry about if you're playing around in cornfields, you probably know this, is there's ticks. So you learn, you got to learn about ticks. You come out the cornfield, you got to make sure you don't have ticks on you because that's what would happen. You gotta burn them off. If you don't know anything about ticks, if you ever do get one on you or like your animal, what happens is they'll get on you, right? And they're real tiny. You can't even see them. They look like little like crabby things. But when they get on you, a lot of times when they're on an animal, you see them because they start sucking the blood out and then they'll get like real big. And what you'll learn is even if it's on an animal, but if it's on you, if you try to pull them out, they have these little, like the head and it goes in your skin. And that's how you can actually get Lyme disease. Or as far as I know, you can get Lyme disease. So what you want to do is if you ever do run into that, you got to take a lighter. Okay, you get a lighter. Obviously, don't burn yourself, but you take a lighter and you take it to the tick, the little body. And then what happens is when you flame them up, they'll actually release the head, so they'll pop out, and then you gotta kill them. But even like these little ticks, if they're small like that, what's weird is you still gotta burn them because you could try crushing them, and they have like a super hard shell. I don't know how God made them, or I don't know what their actual purpose is. I'm not sure what their purpose is, but God would know that. But you gotta burn them because it's hard to crush them. And that's one tip right there. If you ever do run into that, or if you know about them, you know to do that. But if not, you gotta take a lighter and light them up, and they'll release. And then that way you don't get like Lyme disease or anything. I don't know if that's still a thing, but I think in the past it was something where like if you pull them on you, there's a possibility of getting Lyme disease. But we used to do that, and then the other things again we used to do like we used to play war, because again you're out in the country, so we would literally dig like holes. Okay, we would dig these big holes in the ground. And like I said, it was summertime, so we had plenty of time. We'd dig these big holes, like almost like if you were really in the war, which again, it was really dumb. And it's amazing someone didn't get like really hurt, like you might get a sprained ankle or something like that, because we would dig these massive holes. Like, not like you're putting a body or something in them, but big enough to like, they were probably like maybe this big, but they were deep, and you dig them deep, and then we would put, you would take like, grass or corn stalks or whatever, and you put them over top of the holes. So, and we're all doing this, and then we'd be like chasing each other, and then like, you fall in the hole because you don't know what's there. And I remember, like I said, it's funny because I remember bits and pieces, and I had that with my brothers too because we did so many things. We used to, and I don't know if it was just we did this or all kids, I don't know, but like, and then we used to have, the house was older, so it had plaster. Okay, the house had plaster, and if you know about plaster's in two places, right? It's either in like older houses, or like if you have like really nice fancy houses, a lot of times they'll have plaster in them, right? And then the normal houses have drywall, but plaster is a lot more expensive because it's it's a mixture and then it has lath boards. So there's these wooden lath boards that make the wall. So there's like strips of wood, and then they coat it with like, it's like a, I don't know if plaster is considered concrete or something. I don't know what it's considered, but they coat it with that. And you know, it was an older house, so what would happen is they'd be repairing it, and then they either, you know, my grandfather or my dad would be, you know, fix and plaster. They take a wall down, and then they, you know, they pull that out. So we'd always have these, like, you know, we call them lath boards. You know, they were lath, and they'd be different sizes and stuff. And then, like, you know, you get paddled with them too. You know, I don't know if anyone back in the day, and I think that was a good thing, because that way you learn your lessons instead of just getting the little, okay, you did something bad, slap on the wrist, which, you know, doesn't work with a lot of kids. But we would take those lath boards, and we'd make swords out of them. We'd make swords and rope them up, and just we'd fight with them and hit each other and just do all this. You know, it was all in good fun. You know, occasionally someone got a little hurt, but nothing like major. But like, you know, some of it you definitely, some of the things were, you definitely could have got hurt. We'd make, like, what else would we do? We do all kinds of crazy stuff. And you know what's funny? When we were older, we were going back, like in the back of the fields, and we found some of these things, like from, like, this is probably, like I said, this is 27, maybe 30 years ago or something like that. And you know, but like, we used to have a blast. We used to have a blast out there. All the fun things you used to do, and we used to have bonfires and make s'mores and all that. And you could do that too if you live in the city, but it's not the same. Like, a normal fire might be like in a little, like, you know, like in the city, you might have like one of those little, like, pots or whatever, a little section. Ours were like, you know, we had concrete blocks that literally, like, again, you know, maybe not the size of this room, but it was all fully concreted around blocks, so that it wasn't going to spread out. And that was always cut. The grass was always cut, but you could have big bonfires and do your hot dogs and your s'mores and all that fun stuff. But it was just, again, it was a blast. But this barn, like, you know, it was like a kid's playground, if you can imagine. And then not only did we have the barn, we had another building that was like a sort of like a car garage, but it was an older building. And there had all kinds of stuff in there, and we used to play around in there. And then there was two other buildings. So there was all these different buildings you could, you know. And again, if you're playing hide and go seek, or like doing stuff like that, you talk about some fun. Like, that was one thing my parents, like, that was a you know, we had so much fun there. The only bad thing that happened is the barn did start getting older, and just like the housing, you know, when you have those older houses that are like built in the 1800s and stuff, they have slate roofs. You know, they have slate roofs, and so did the barn. And that slate, you know, that stuff's dangerous. You know, people don't realize it. It's dangerous. Like, when they made, I don't know if when they made the bow and arrows back in the day, because they used to have arrowheads. Like, we'd find them on our property in the back. You'd go searching, they'd have arrowheads. Like, you wouldn't find a ton, but you'd find a couple of them. And, you know, I believe those were made of slate. And that slate, when it comes off, that stuff will slice you up. Like, people don't realize it. Like, if they don't have the right stuff and that stuff falls off, that stuff is, it'll slice you up. It's sharp. And it's actually, I believe it's really good material, other than, like, it's acceptable to breaking. But, like, that was probably on that barn for who knows how many hundreds of years or whatever that was on there. But that was one of the things that the roof needed replaced. It was a ton of money at the time, and there were some other things going on, so they ended up tearing the barn down. But when we got to play in there, it was a blast. But again, it was another blessing from God, because I can tell you right now, like, again, I don't know what that third floor actually was supposed to be, like, used for. If you know, I don't know if it's like storage or what, but it was just beams, and the beams just had hay covers. You couldn't even see, like, like I said, there would just be holes, you know. And I don't even know if you were supposed to go up there. If maybe it was just storage. I don't know why there was hay up there. I'm not sure, but I know for sure it could be dangerous, especially if you're a kid. Like, you know, like I said, you're runging up. There's these rungs. I should draw, like, a picture of it. I don't know. I don't even know, because, like I said, there's a difference between, like, what you'd call, like, pole barns that you'd build, or like a barn that's like considered like a garage barn and like this type of barn. This is like the old school where the beams, these, and like, oh my God. Holy Spirit, thank you for reminding me of that. I just forgot. We used to climb on the beams, and these beams go across. So these beams, like, and again, if you, because I know they have those Amish builders, and not the stereotype, but I know like they're like professionals, and I know them. They're the ones who build a lot of these, and you know they don't even use like nails and stuff. Like it's crazy. If you see these beams are literally like this big, and they're like this thick, and they're long. And how they do it is they cut these like designs out of them, and then they fit the other piece like this inside of it. And then they have these like big like stakes. They're like wooden stakes. They're like this long. They're like this, and they must hammer them in, and that's what holds it together. It's like it's and they're sturdy and they're built unbelievable. Like I don't know if we have pictures or something anywhere, but like if you ever get a chance to go to like one of those like old school barns like 1800s, check it out. It's unbelievable. Like, and they do all that. Like, I think they do it all. Like, they don't even use power tools. They might now, but like, I don't think they have that stuff. Like, it is unbelievable. But these beams extend in the different levels, and we would walk across the beams, and or you'd like go like this. You'd inch across the beams. But like I said, these things are high. These things are super high. It's like, you know, imagine if you're in a, you know, 2-story building, and you're just like sort of going across it'd be like going across a steel beam that's like, you know, obviously steel beams like this, but so it'd be like this, but you're going across it, and then you fall, and you don't have a safety harness, you don't have a net, there's nothing. But we used, you know, again, we were kids, you know, we didn't know any better, and we would we would go across them. And then, thank you, Holy Spirit, that reminds me, when I was growing up, you know, you watch the movies too. The movies, those demonic forces trying to kill you again. That's what they do. But like, I used to be a huge fan of like Indiana Jones, like huge. I used to watch all the movies, and then they had like the spin-off episode when he was like a little kid. So you know what's crazy is I had like a hat. I had like the Indiana Jones hat, and I used to wear it. I had a hat and I had like a satchel. I don't know if I told my parents or they got it for me because they knew I liked it. So I used to go around like I was Indiana Jones in this barn too, you know what I mean? So then of course, when you're Indiana Jones, what do you need? You need a bullwhip, right? You know, literally like a bullwhip. And this is back when like they didn't have online back then. I think my parent, I don't know if I bought it or my parents, I say, please. I'm like, please, can I get this thing? I will do anything, you know, I'll do any chore, whatever. So and I think it was at one of the flea market. I don't know if it was Rogers, that's like out a little ways, past like, it's by like East Liverpool out there. And you can buy all kinds of stuff out there. Or if it was at Four Seasons flea market, I can't remember. But they ended up, my parents were great. They ended up getting it for me. And so I had this like Indiana Jones bullwhip. So I'd be going around and trying to like attach it to stuff in the barn and swing across. And it was actually like it wasn't like those junk ones you'd buy, like where like you know, that you couldn't swing on. Not that you could like swing on it, obviously, because you get hurt. But like you could do that. So I would do that. And just, it's, thinking back, it's crazy. I'll have to do an episode when I bring them on because they might remember some other stuff. But like, again, it just shows you the glory of God, because I can't tell you how many times we did that as kids, again, going up to that 3rd level and just randomly walking across, and like, you know, and like I said, we shouldn't have even went up there. Like that was like a no. That was like, you know, if it was on the list of like things to not do, that should have been on the list. But we rung up. At least I did. I'm pretty sure my brother did all the time too. But I would always go up. But I'd climb up there and I'd walk across. And like I said, that was so dangerous, because it's like if you took a stack of boards and they're like not even. So it's not really like a floor. It's just like, and you're just randomly walking across with hay, and you're sort of just taking a chance of like, hopefully the wood's going to be there. And if it's not, you like I said. And then I think when we got older, you got a little bit smarter, and you like, if you went up there, you crawled across it, because then you could feel like, okay, I'm not going to fall through the thing into the next floor down. But, and then there was a window. Oh, I forgot about that. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for reminding me about that, because I forgot. And then there was like there was like some open windows and stuff, so you'd have wars and stuff like that, and or you chuck stuff down the window and at each other, and just we used to do so many dumb things. It's amazing. Like I said, uh, glory be to God, because there was an angel watching over us, because and we did get hurt, don't get me wrong. Like there was a couple times, you might have like broke your foot, or because you tripped on something, or you sprained your ankle, you got smashed on the concrete. So we did get hurt, but like nothing, like we didn't get like like deathly hurt like you definitely could have. Because imagine, it was just but it was it was like a playground. It was a great experience growing up. Great experience, because we had so much fun. And we used to do so many different things out there. But like I said, I don't know if we watched like some kind of war movies, or like, I don't know what we were thinking. But we would dig these holes out, these masks, and we'd cover them. So you'd be running, chasing each other. You'd like fall in a hole. Luckily, I don't think we made them like super dangerous, where like there was like, like sharp wood in them, where like you actually get like hurt. But I think we did something. We might not have made them like, like super sharp things. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was Predator we watched. I don't know. I don't know if it was one of those the movies like Predator, where it was Schwarzenegger and he takes the wood and cuts it up and then puts it in the hole to trap him. But obviously Predator knows most of the time, because he's got all that, get the alien whatever stuff on him to know. But I don't know if it was that, or I don't know if we watched war movies and that's how we figured out. But we would dig, like I said, we would dig these pretty deep holes, and we cover them up, and then you take a biff, man. You would take a biff running through them, and you try, and then you like it was certain sections were cut out. So certain sections the grass was higher, and other ones were cut out where there was a path. So you'd make your own little trap holes and stuff, and just it's crazy. But again, it's just another thing that shows me, God is so real. I know some people don't believe, but He is so real. I can tell you, like from even just growing up as a little, just different things happening. He is so real. He loves you. He's watching out after you. I mean, it is just amazing the things He does. And again, I'm telling you what, it doesn't take much. It does not take much. All you have to do, and I'm going to say the same thing over and over again. If you don't believe, look at the description below. Do that salvation prayer. It is the best thing you will ever do in your life. I promise you, there is nothing like it. There is nothing that can fulfill you like Jesus and God can fulfill you. There's nothing like it. And the thing is, too, is you just have to have the faith of a mustard seed. Be like a little kid. Is all you have to do is believe that He, the Son of God, Jesus, came down to earth, lived a sinless life, and died on the cross to take away the sins of the world. That's all you have to believe. And the more and more you'll get the relationship, you'll want to do more. You will, because He'll change things in your life, and you're gonna know that God is real. Even if you start out and you're a little bit let's say you're on the fence and you're like, I don't know, because I hear this all the time. I hear people say that's an old book and all this stuff, but you know what? That's lies of the devil. If you go outside and look at the different things in nature, He's real. You know He's real, and He exists. You want to push it away, because that's what we do. And part of the other thing too is we push God away, and one of the reasons why we do that is, again, we want to be in control. And I know, because I believe in God and I pray, and I would never be like, I don't want to be with God, but like it was one of those things where like you want to be in control, and the thing is, you're not in control. And when you realize that, you have a hard time with that, because your flesh fights that, because we all want to be in control, right? But at the end of the day, you are not in control. You are absolutely not in control. You have free will to do what you want to a degree, but God is in control of everything and everyone. So He knows everything you're going to do. And that's the great thing about it, is that even though He knows everything you do, that you're going to do, He still loves you. That is the most amazing thing ever, is that even though we do horrible things, and again, you might not think they're that bad. You might say, oh, stealing's not that bad, but it is. Everything you do, you know it's wrong. And you know what? He still loves us. He still forgives us. He truly is amazing because he could do whatever he wants. And he created each one of us, and he has the power to do whatever he wants. He doesn't even need us. When you think about it, you look at these, everyone we glorifies, and I did it, so I'm not saying I didn't do it. We glorify all these things like superheroes and all this stuff, because we want to be able to fly and all these different things, and it's just crazy how we think about this. But you got a person that's more powerful than any superhero out there that literally can do anything, that created you, and he doesn't need any of us. But he created us. Why does it say in the Bible? Because it pleased him to create us. And he doesn't need our money. He doesn't need us to help him. He created all the birds and the bees. He created every animal in the land and sea. He can make anything he wants. But the craziest thing is that he chose to create us. And even though we continually go against him and we fight him, and I know because I did it, and we do the wrong things, he still loves us. There's no one else like that. You could pick anyone in the world. And I know I've said the same thing, but it's the truth. Go pick anyone in the world, even if it's someone that really loves, even if it's your mom and dad, right, that really loves you. It's not the same, it's just not the same. It's just not. You could take your best friend. There's no one like God that loves you the way he loves you. And you might not see it. It might take you a long time to realize it. Again, it took me 40 some years to realize that. I always prayed. I knew he loved me, but not the same. It's not the same thing. When God really works in your life and the Holy Spirit comes in and cleans you out and starts doing stuff, you're going to see things in a totally different way. And all the stuff that you thought before, it changes. You're not going to be thinking, should I worship him? Should I praise him? You're going to want to do it. Because what happens is when you have a relationship with somebody, a good relationship, you love that person, right? And for everyone that's different. Some people have a hard time loving people. Some people can't accept love. I know I was like that for a certain period of my time in my life, and that's just things everyone goes through, trials and tribulations. People can love you as much as they want, and you can't accept it. And then there's other times where you try to love people as much as you can, and they're not ready. They can't accept it at that time, and that's okay because everyone goes through different periods. But the difference is that when you really love someone and you're in a good spot, right, you're going to do the different things that you would do to show your love. And you know what, and I know God loves me. I know, number one, because he sent his son, Jesus Christ, down to earth to die on the cross to take away the sins of the world, including mine. How many of us would die for a random person? Again, not many. When it really come down to it, and again, we can all say oh yeah, I'd die for this person, they're a nice person, but when it comes down to it, it's a whole different thing. And that is how much he loves us, and he did it freely for everyone. And the crazy thing is I was watching that video on Revelations, and the one pastor was talking about it. And what was interesting, what he was talking about was how it doesn't say everything that happens in that, and this guy, I have to write the name down. It was really good because, it made me see it from a different perspective, and it talked about how Jesus just said, it is finished, and when he said it is finished, we're going off of Jesus's words that, because it is finished and he did what he did, that essentially we're all going to be good to go. Because he's going to go to the Father in heaven, God, and he's going to present you before him and say that you're his child, essentially, right? And he took the wrath. And what's crazy is the way the pastor was showing it, like we see, like, you watch Passion of the Christ, and again, you see him just get destroyed. Everyone goes against him. He gets destroyed. They rip his skin off. They put the. I mean, anyone who knows the story or watch it, you see what happens. But you know what this pastor said that really, hit me hard, that I didn't think about before, was that, he took essentially the wrath of God, right? Which, to take away the sins of the world, right? So he took the wrath of God. And I think, it blew my mind. But it blew my mind in the way of, I think sometimes we don't understand the wrath of God. Again, God created the sun and moon, and that's nothing. That's a pinhead. I've said it before, it's a pinhead of his power. And the sun could burn you alive. You go out in the sun long enough, you get a sunburn, right? Or if you look at the earth, he created the earth. Well, at the center of the earth, right, is, I don't know if that's where hell's at, but we know there's lava in there, and it's super magna, or whatever you want to call it, and it would burn you alive. And that's nothing. It says in the Bible, the earth is his footstool. The earth is his footstool. So it just goes to show you, we're like little ants. I mean, when you look at it like that, and when you think about it like that, that he knows every single person, omnipresent in everyone, so he knows what everyone's hearts and minds thinks. He has all power, and the power in the Bible that we've seen him do is like, it blows my mind. It's amazing, but it's minuscule to what he could do, right? You look at parting the Red Sea, that's nothing for him to do that. He parted the whole sea, and it was nothing for him to do. To bring fire down from heaven, it's nothing. It's like a joke. It doesn't even show. So when you think of it like that, that's what really hit me hard, was think about that. The Red Sea, he parted the Red Sea, right? He created the sun, and that's a minuscule, that's how much of him using his power probably right there. That's how much right there. And think about his whole wrath, right? So when we say God, okay, Yeshua, his whole wrath, I mean, that's got to be we can't comprehend it. We can't comprehend it, but I can tell you right now, if I think about the sun, how it could burn us alive, or if I think about parting the Red Sea, and that's just a pinhead of his power, and Jesus had to take essentially the wrath of God to take the sins away from the world. I don't know what that's like, but I can tell you that's definitely, I'm sure the ripping his skin off and all that was bad, but the wrath of God is probably like 50,000 gazillion. I can't even comprehend a number. I can't even comprehend it. But it really, again, blew my mind, that just thinking about it. But then it also goes to show you how much Jesus and God love us, because that had to happen for us to all be saved and for our sins to be washed away. I mean, it just blows my mind. And that's what's amazing about God too. Every day I see something new, whether it's through seeing it through somebody talking about it, or through the Bible, or through life. I see something new every day, and it just, again, it amazes me. It truly amazes me. He is amazing. It's amazing, and we don't understand it, because we can't understand that. But what we do know, and again, the pastor that I was watching was really good. I was like I don't know how long. It was a super long video. Although I know mine are long too, because I talk a lot. But it was good. And it talked about, same thing when you read it in Revelation, because I listened to it a lot, but it was talking about how, the people just are amazed at God, It says it in the thing, when they see him in his presence, they are amazed at what he does. Because again, think about it, we're living at the footstool. We're not living, up there. We're living in the footstool. So it's gotta be amazing, And it's just that really blew my mind. But I'm gonna cut this one off. But again, like I said, I'm gonna have to I'll see if my brothers or my sister can jump on jump on a video one time and just talk about it, because it's just, again, it's just another reason I know. Not only has he saved me, literally saved me and pulled me out of darkness, there's just time and time again in my life that he's just done different things. And even like when we were little kids, it's a perfect example. You know, I went up there, I can't count how many times I went up on that third floor. And, by the grace of God, I never took a death drop, which probably should have happened. Again, probably should have happened, because you're not supposed to be going up there. Like nowadays, if you're working high, you wear a safety harness and a belt and all this. And I don't know, maybe other kids, maybe there's a bunch of other kids that did that too when they were growing up and they had a barn. I don't know, but I know, like, if I look back at it now, it's crazy, and I know. So again, God bless you. If you're not saved, I think I already said it already, but I'll say it again. It is the best thing you will ever do. I cannot stress this enough. Better than anything in your life you've done, it's better than that. When he changes you and he starts molding you and cleaning you out, and you have a relationship with him, and it's a whole different ball game. So please read the salvation prayer below, and that will start your relationship with him. God bless you.